Okay everybody, I am back. I want to show you these little guys again, just in case I have to split this up into two different parts, which I may have to do depending on time for this tutorial. So I'm going to be showing you how to make these today, and using these little aluminum BeeBeeCraft tins, the lids that screw on and off, and they've got the transparency in the top. So I have already gotten my fussy cutting done. I have all my little things cut out from the Graphic 45 Safari Adventure paper. I have my rings cut, as well as saving the circles from the middle of the rings and the strips that go on the outside. So you're going to need these little pieces, your fun fussy cut little pieces. You're going to need a strip of paper or a couple strips of paper that measure, I think this is 3/4 of an inch long. If you end up with two pieces, just kind of make sure that they're going to overlap. You don't want to cut them too short. Your total overall measurement with a little leftover is like 10 3/4. Then I have my rings and my circles, which were cut out using, you can either use a circle cutter. I have this one by Eck Tools, or you can use, if you have them, your circle dies and your Big Shot or whatever machine that you use at home. The inside frames, you're gonna want to cut two pieces out. The inside frames are gonna be a black piece of black cardstock and then a piece of designer paper, and so you want one of each. They're going to measure 3 1/8 out here from the outside edge to outside edge, and then on the inside edge it's going to be 2 5/8. So roughly what you're looking at is this is about 1/4 of an inch thick ring. So, and you want two of those. Your outside ring, the one that you're going to decorate the top of this with, is going to measure 3 1/8 again, but this time it's going to be a little bit bigger. So we're looking for the inside to be 2 1/2. If you go through your circle dies, you should be able to get it pretty close. And then definitely if you're using one of these circle cutters that has all the measurements around, you'll be able to get it dead on. Another thing too, if you have one of these and you're going to use this, make sure you tape your piece of paper down to your work surface, cut the inside circle first, and then cut the outside circle. Save your circles because we're going to be using these, and you may need an extra one depending on how you put this together. If you are putting it together using lights, you'll definitely need the extra circle. If you're not using the lights, then I wouldn't worry about it. So what we are going to do first, okay, so your two circles that you cut on the inside, this is where you're going to need your tissue paper, or not tissue paper, tracing paper, vellum, or there was one other. Oh, glassine. You could probably use some glassine for this if you have it. So something that's kind of foggy. You don't want to be able to look directly through it, because if you're putting lights in here, you want a little bit of something cloudy. So when you look inside, you can't really see the lights. So we're going to take one of our outside circles. So grab a pencil, and you want to make a ring around, or you want to draw around your circle like that. Now if you want to do something fun, you can take some, I have this set of Firefly alcohol markers that I picked up on Tuesday morning, and we can do something fun with this, like color it in. I'm thinking for this one, maybe like, I don't know, maybe like a sunset or something. Now that that is dry, we're going to need some scissors. Now we're going to want to cut this out. But you can always leave it plain, like I did with the Frosted Christmas one. So just cut it out, and it doesn't have to be perfect because you can trim it later after you get your pieces glued or your rings glued together. Okay, so we're trimming that, and we're going to take our first ring, and this is going to be the back side. Okay, and I like to use this fast kind of drying glue. It's called Fabri-Tac. It's made by Beacon. It's a fast drying permanent adhesive. And we're just gonna put glue all the way around here. And we're gonna pop this on top. Try and line it up with the lines there. There we go. And give it a second to dry. If any glue squishes out, you might want to have a napkin handy. I have one somewhere. Okay, so that is on the back side. And then we're gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna flip this over. And I'm just gonna run a little bead of glue on here. Super easy, right? Well, putting this together is not the most time-consuming part. The most time-consuming part is cutting out all your pieces. But seriously, for like your fussy cutting and stuff, I mean, you can sit in front of the television and do that. Put on some good music, you know. You guys know you do this all the time. You're making mini albums, you're usually gonna be fussy cutting something. So, okay, so this is gonna make our little background for the inside of our tin, and this will make it nice and sturdy. Okay, so now we're gonna take our smaller scissors, and now I can go in and just kind of trim the excess off. Okay, so after we've trimmed it, you just kind of want to gently fold it and pop it in here. Just kind of make sure that it's all gonna fit, okay? If it's gonna be too wrinkly, there's any other areas that you need to trim, then we need to know that. So, all right, now that I have this little part done, I want to arrange my pieces that I'm gonna be using for the inside here. So, let's see, I think I'm gonna be using these on the inside. And going to arrange these. So it's gonna sit right about like that. So I need to glue my little elephant guy down first. Super simple, right? That is super simple. Okay, next thing we are going to do is, let's see. If you're not putting lights in, I will go ahead and give you this tip right now. If you're not gonna put the lights in, what you need to do is you need to glue your back piece in. Okay, you're gonna take some medium weight chipboard, and this is 3/4 inches wide. And you're just gonna bend it. because you're not gonna, you won't see this. And you want to fit it, after you glue this piece in, you're going to fit it in here. And then you want to take another piece and do the same so that these pieces match up. And I don't have a measurement for this, you just kind of have to eyeball it. But you want it in there super tight. So kind of stack it in there. Hold it in, and then you can make a mark with a pencil. Okay, and then I like to cut a little bit bigger and then shave it down, because like I said, you want it in there tight. You don't need to, you're not gonna need to glue it in if you put it in tight. Okay, so yeah, I guess my pencil mark was right about on there. Okay, so that fits in there super tight. And if you want to make sure it doesn't go anywhere, just put a couple pieces of Scotch tape on each area where the two ends meet. So a piece of tape here, piece of tape here. And then you're gonna stick this down inside. It's gonna go on top of that. That's what's gonna hold this away from the back a little bit. See, and it fits nicely down in there. And then all you're gonna do is you'll put your strips on all the way around, and then you'll be able to take your lid and decorate your lid. Just screw it on and it's done. If you want it hanging before you put these pieces on the inside in, let me carefully pull this out. Ooh. Okay. If you want it to hang before you put everything in, you're going to mark a little spot at the top with a permanent marker. Take an awl and just very gently, this is like, almost exactly like a soda can. So it's very easy to cut through. So you're just gonna put your little hole in here and get your ribbon and everything in before you assemble the whole thing. But as far as doing that without the lights go, I mean, that's super, super easy. Okay, if you're putting lights in, you're still working with a blank tin. So what we need to do is we need to figure out the size of our battery. So these are watch batteries, CR2032. Just kind of a regular watch battery. And what we need to do is we're gonna place it on the inside just to make our marks. So I'm gonna take a marker. Let's see, let me grab one of these alcohol markers. Take a marker, and I'm going to mark, put it in the center there. Can you see that? And I'm going to mark one little mark above and one little mark to the right hand side here. Okay, that's going to tell me, hey, my battery is just about that big. So I will show you. I lift it up here if you can see. Okay, take your battery out, don't lose it. The tape that we're using, this copper tape from BeeBeeCraft, is super, it's not very wide at all, you can see. But you want to be able to have enough room to get it through the hole. So using the dots that you made to mark your battery as the center, you want to make a small mark on each side of the top one, and then a small mark above and below. Okay, I'm back. My camera died. So I was showing you these little holes, and that we just made with the black marker to kind of mark where the battery was going to be. So the next thing you're going to do is take an awl, and you want to just punch a small hole on the outside of these the outside dots that you marked. So it's gonna look like this on either side. Let's see, well, I'm trying to tell, there we go. So on either side of the dot, the outside dots that you marked there, either side of the one in the middle, I should say, the outside dots, you want to mark those. Then we're going to flip this over, and you're going to make sure they're all the way through. That would be helpful. Okay, so then you're going to flip this over, and you're going to put the awl back through those holes, just very gently, because like I said, this is like going through a tin can. So you just want to do it very gently because you don't want to crush your tin. Okay, so now we have something that looks like this. All right, and then you want to take your wire cutters. These are just a little pair of Klein Tool wire snippers, and they're really sharp. And you want to put the cutters in the hole this way, and then just cut straight through on both sides. Then take your cutters, and you're going to bend the little point in, and just, you know, do all this really carefully so you don't crush anything, and you don't want to cut yourself either. All right, then you're going to need something that has kind of a flat end. These are some like bead crimpers or bead pliers. They're really small, but anything you have that you can get it down into your tin and see you have these kind of sharp points sticking up. You want to bend those back inside the tin. Okay, and then grab the other side. If you can, grab this side here, the opposite side. Grab them with your little pliers and kind of bend those back as far as you can and push those down. And if you just kind of push all this stuff down inwards towards the inside of the tin, you want to kind of flatten it out and make it so your sharp edges are downwards. And then, okay, so what we want to have is, we want to have this, no sharp edges on this, on the outside. On the inside, it's going to be a little rough, but it's not going to be anything. You can see I'm putting a good amount of pressure in there. If you are squashing everything down well, it's not going to be anything that is going to, cut your finger open. So, okay. So the next thing we do is we want to cover this up on the inside. And I'm going to take, is that my right? Yeah. So I'm going to take my circle that was cut to fit on the inside of this. If you're using this tin, and I'm not sure which measurement this circle is. This circle is just about 3 inches around, and that's totally fine. So we're going to put this in here and have smaller holes, because what's going to happen is if we don't have this in here, you're going to be able to see through the holes in the tin when you push your button for your lights, even with this in here. So I'm going to make this a little smaller. So drop that in there, center it up, and then we're going to take a pen or a pencil, if I have one here somewhere. Let me see. Okay, here it is. Okay, here's a pencil. So I'm going to take a pencil, and where these holes are, you're going to want to mark out where these holes are with your pencil. Okay, and try and make sure that your paper on the inside doesn't slip. So now pull this out, and we're gonna take a razor knife to it, and we're gonna make a nice, make nice cuts in here so this looks nice. So at either end, you're gonna cut straight across. Okay. And then you're gonna bring your cut downwards. Now you have a nice hole that your copper tape is gonna go through. So you wanna do that on the side and on the top as well. Okay. Be careful, don't cut your fingers with your razor knife. So that lines up in there. Okay, and then we're gonna go ahead and remember which side is your front and your back so it lines up, and we're gonna go ahead and take our good adhesive here and we're gonna glue this all in. So put a decent amount of glue. Okay, this way. And remember to line that up again. Okay, and now that is all covered up, and give that a minute to dry. And we won't have to worry about, even though we press that aluminum down, we won't have to worry about our fingers. Now we need our circle that's gonna go on the back side. Now this circle can be smaller because we are going to take a larger circle, the larger circle, and cover this up. So this circle came out of one of these, probably this one. Yeah, so this circle came out of this one here. And that's gonna go on this side. And we need to do the same thing, center this up as best as you can, and make your marks with your pencil or pen. And then we're gonna do the same thing on this side. That way we can get that copper tape through for our lights. Okay. Same thing, we're gonna glue this down on the outside. Okay, so that is that. Oh, look at her. My glue is oozing everywhere. Clean that up. Okay. All right, now we are going to do our wiring. So we have our little bitty LEDs, and I've decided, over kind of experimenting with this a little bit, that I like to use 2 LEDs. I think one is not enough. And so we're gonna pull a set of these out of the package. And these are sticky backed. So that's another reason that's nice to have the paper in there, because these will hang on to the paper well. Okay. If you look at the LEDs, and this is important, I'm gonna try and get this in focus. If you look at these little LED guys, let's see, do I need to adjust my lights? You can see that there is a positive on the pointy triangle side and a negative, or I'm sorry, a negative on the pointy triangle side. Let's see, I don't know if you can see that. So the pointy side is negative of the LED, and the larger side is the positive side, just like your battery. Your battery, just like any battery, has a positive, and that side is the negative side. So we're gonna take our copper wire, and we're gonna start with the negative side. Let me cut this little piece off here. So this is really easy. This is paper backed, just like any kind of other tape would be. And you're gonna start, and you wanna get your hole, let's see, so you wanna have one hole to your left, the other one is up at the top. We're gonna feed this through the top hole, and this is going to be our negative side. Okay. So our battery is going to rest right there in the middle. So we're going to want just enough. Okay, stick it down, but don't push it down all the way quite yet. And then what we're going to do is we're going to run this copper tape down here at kind of an angle. And we're going to stick that down and kind of wrap it around down here, and that should be enough. And you use very little of this. So there's one side. Okay, there's your negative side. Then we're going to take some more of this copper tape, and we're gonna run another little pattern alongside the one we just did, but it's gonna go out the other hole. So you have to make sure that it's far enough apart. The two sides don't touch each other either, because you don't want them to touch each other. And you can bend this tape in the different angles. There is, I will leave a link to instructions on how to do this. And these are so tiny, you don't need a lot of this tape. And then anytime you want to make a corner, you go bend it away like that, and then you bring it back over on top. And like I said, I will leave a link to this, because I know it's really hard to see what I'm doing, especially inside the tin. There, we're gonna cut this and have a little excess, because remember, we want it to come back through our hole, right? We want it to come back through the hole there. So we're gonna feed this through the hole, and then pull that through really gently. Okay, and then you're gonna kind of take your nail or something, and you're going to smooth this all down so it's all nice and flat. Okay. So now it's good. Now it's situated in there and it's good and flat. Leave this side sticking up. All right. So now we're gonna take our teeny tiny little lights. And remember, the top was the negative. So the top of the triangle is going to go on the negative side. And the bottom of the triangle is going to go on the positive side. So that completes the circuit, right? And if you're not sure, you can test it as you go. Just put the negative side of your battery down and fold your copper over, and you can see the light works. So we're going to put the other one in. Carefully peel this out of here. So what I'm doing is, if you can see these little brass, there's a little triangle here and then a long piece here. That is what's going on your copper tape and completing your circuit. So, and then we want to test this out. You can test both of them at the same time. But see, there you go. That's pretty nifty, huh? I really like that. Just so simple. Okay, before we put our battery in, we're going to put our, this is going to be our cover for our battery cover. So you are going to need, move this out of the way so I don't lose it. You're going to need to make a little template. This is 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. And this is where you're going to take your 1/2 inch hole punch. Okay, and this circle is, okay, so this circle is about 2 3/4. You have to worry if you don't have, you know, the exact measurements. But, and we are going to, first we're going to, this kind of dead center on the side here. Punch a hole. There it is, like that. And we're going to take our little template and line it up like this. Okay. So it's going to cover half the hole. And this is where you're going to be able to get your finger in there. All right. And then take your pencil, pen, whatever. And when you want to mark the top, the bottom, and the right hand side that goes into the hole. So we're gonna cut that again with the razor knife on those lines. Be careful not to cut yourself. All right, and then that just kind of gets bent back a little bit. So now you have a little door to open and close. You can get to the battery and replace it. Okay, let's see. What we're gonna do now is we need some way to turn it on and off and to keep it on and off. Okay, so you're gonna need some kind of a swing tab, which I had a bunch of these little Tim Holtz arrows, and so I thought they would be perfect. And then a brad. You're also going to want a piece of paper that's the same size as your opening, 1 1/4 by 1 1/4, except add another 1/4 of an inch because you're going to want a hinge. So obviously you know that when this makes, the copper makes contact with the battery, that's what turns it on. But how do we keep it off when we don't want it, on? So that's where this is going to, this little flap here that we're gonna make is gonna come in handy. Let's see. Okay. All right, so same thing. We're going to, I'm just gonna draw around this. And then I'm going to use my paper cutter here. Move this out of the way. I'll put it in the paper cutter this way, I think. That way we can save our little scrappies. And then I'm just going to make it a smidgy bit bigger here. If you want a nice neat fold, you can score it if you want to. Okay. So now our fold is nice and neat. Okay, now let's see, where's my little piece here? I'm gonna take our little piece and line it up in there, and you may need to trim it a little bit because you don't want it to kind of get caught on anything. So I'm gonna trim this up a smidge. So after we get this on, our other wire is gonna run up this. This is going to be what keeps the wire from connecting with the battery. All right, that's good. So let's glue this in. Come on, glue. glue it. Glue this little hinge right inside here. Okay, so now the next thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna take our arrow and our brad or your flip tab, whatever you're using for a little tab. And I'm gonna put this down here. So I'm just gonna poke the little brad through. Sorry, I poked a little brad through. And you know, my light keeps falling. There. Can you all see that? I'm sorry. I don't know why that's falling. It's so strange. Okay. All right, so now you have something that's going to keep this little door closed. So, all right. So now we are going to... I'm going to open this up and I'm going to run glue in here. A bunch of glue on here. Oh, we don't want that gloppy mess though. Grab that little lump of glue, glop of glue funk. Slide this over our wire, our little copper tape here. And gonna center that up, get it stuck down in there. Hang on to this for a minute because with this side a little lumpier, so you're gonna have to hang on to it, make sure it gets adhered well. But this glue does an amazing job. I love it. You can bend your door back a bit. And then you want to put your copper tape down onto this little area here. That way it'll make contact with the battery. And then we can trim off the excess. Okay, so it's gonna look like this in here. You're gonna have your copper wire coming out or on your door on one side, and then on the other side you'll have it here. My lights are all messed up, I'm sorry. I do not know. So it'll look like that. Okay. Now, glue dots. You need a glue dot. Pull this out of here. And, ooh, tricky little beggars, aren't they? Okay. The side that we laid down, I want you to very carefully peel this up. Remember, we didn't stick it down really hard. I'm gonna put a glue dot there, but it's only gonna be under, gonna be dead center, but it's only gonna be under half of it. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. Let's see, maybe better with this off. Why are we doing that? Okay, so if you can see here, most of the glue dot is sticking out, but this is pumped up on this side because we're going to use that glue dot to secure our battery. Okay, so again, negative side down, put that in there, and then you can bend this back, swing your little tab open or closed, And now our lights are on, right? And when we do this, our lights are off. Okay? Simple, super simple. This needs to dry a little more before I close it. So we don't want to close that yet. Okay, after that part's done, now we can go back to sticking our pieces that we fit back in here. Remember, they're going to be super tight, so they should go in. And then we're just going to put a simple piece of Scotch tape where the ends meet on both sides. And they're tight. It's tight enough in there. We don't need to glue it in there. If you want to, you totally can. And we take our little elephant piece that we made. I'm gonna fold it a little bit and push it down inside there. Okay, so it looks like that. And then it'll look like this. I'll turn this off with the light off. It'll look like that. So now you can, once you get it in here, you can adjust it if there is not enough light. You know, if you want more light on the top, instead of having it on the bottom or the sides or whatever, you can, you know, spin it around. This will be kind of upside down, but that's up to you. Or you can test fit it before you put it in and, you know, get the light right or whatever. So I'm gonna turn mine, let's see. Because if it's sunset, right, your brighter light's gonna be down towards the bottom. So just something to think about. Maybe you need to be mindful of that when you're putting it together. Okay, turning this back on. Okay, so that part is done. Now we need to do the top of our tin. So here is our tin, okay? Remember, you've already put, if you're gonna hang it, before you get all this stuff in here, make sure you put your hole up at the top. But we wanna decorate this, and since this is a twist-on lid, we wanna be mindful on how we're decorating it. So, you're gonna put the lid on and either make a little mark, like this is the top or the bottom or whatever, or just you wanna get it in the kind of the right position where you want it. And I just keep my fingers like this and unscrew it. And this is the top, and just remember that that's the top. Okay, last but not least, we're gonna do our little strips that go around the side. And keep in mind, you know, you can totally paint this tin or use alcohol ink like I did with the other one. And you can put paper on it or not put paper on it. I want to get both of these ready at the same time because I'm going to have them overlap. Okay. One this way. Oh, what? Make sure the writing's the right way. I want the writing. I cracked myself up. And one this way. Have it. Put your lid on. And you're good to go. And now I finally fixed my light. It works too well. There it is. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Bye.